Hello, this is Damage and welcome back to the channel. In this last Epoch video, I want to show you the most optimal way that I have found to skip the campaign. I'm really hoping this video will be a comprehensive guide for you to know the most efficient route through using the dungeon skips and also being able to get all of your passive and idle slot rewards. I did post a video earlier that's like a half-hour long that's just showing the skip in general, but I really want to pinpoint all the different thresholds and what you should be doing at each level all the way through so that you can get, like I said, through the campaign and you can get all those passive and idle slot rewards. We're going to break it down by level for you, and all the timestamps will be down below in the description. If you're not aware, on Last Epoch, you can skip through the campaign. That's probably why you're checking this video out. But if it's your first time playing Last Epoch, I do recommend just playing through the campaign normally. This video is aimed towards players that are working on their second, third, fourth, or even more alternate characters in the game. And you have to have at least one key for the 3 dungeons in the game: Lightless Arbor, Soulfire Bastion, and Temporal Sanctum. These 3 keys drop from pretty much anywhere in the game, and you're just going to get them by playing, and you'll get loads and loads of keys. It's really not that much of an issue, but let's go ahead and jump into it right now. When you very first start out, so level 1 to 25, you're going to be running all the way through the Ruined Era, and you're going to complete the Sanctum Bastille, and you're going to go into the Imperial Era. Now, you're not going to be completing the Imperial Era yet. You're going to run up until you complete the Study in Time, which is a really fun side quest that has you time traveling through different eras to complete this side quest. I won't spoil it all for you, but it's a pretty cool side quest. And you're also going to get some of those rewards that you need. And around the time you complete this quest and you're this far into the campaign, you should be around level 25. Once you're level 25, you're going to go ahead and hit up the very first dungeon in the game called Lightless Arbor. The tier 1 of this dungeon is level 25, and that's the point in this guide, the way I have it laid out, is so that you're at the respective level for each of these kind of breakpoints that you're going to be throughout this process. Lightless Arbor requires a key to enter. If you die in there, you do lose the key and have to rerun it. So if you feel like you're maybe need to be a little bit stronger, you could level up a little bit more, or if you feel stronger earlier on, you can go ahead and go in there. Lightless Arbor is found in the Ruined Era shortly after the Council Chambers. Once you get up here, you can, save it for later and keep pushing on the campaign just so you have the waypoint. Or if you have the key in your inventory, you can right click on the key and it'll show you the location of the dungeon as well. Lightless Arbor is kind of your gold dump dungeon, where when you're in here, you're just kind of running through. You have a little ember flame that you keep so that you don't take as much damage. It's a pretty simple mechanic, especially on tier 1. And then at the end of the dungeon, you can spend gold to get different chests with different rewards. It actually is a really great dungeon for farming runes and items and things like that. But that's Lightless Arbor. It's pretty straightforward, I think. And that's your level 25 dungeon. Once you complete Lightless Arbor, there's going to be a couple more zones afterwards that you're going to run through, and you'll get a passive and idle slot reward from here as well. But once you complete that whole set, you're then going to show up in Risen Lake. This is already your first campaign skip right here. Once you are in Risen Lake, you're going to go through the Felled Wood, and you're going to go up and grab the Soulfire Bastion waypoint. This will be our second dungeon that we're going to run, but we're going to save it for later. Now, keep in mind, whenever I'm telling you to run through the campaign or do the campaign up until this level, that means checking for side quests along the way. And if you see a side quest that gives you a passive and or idle slot reward, make sure you do that side quest. So once you have the Soulfire Bastion waypoint, you're going to teleport back to the Risen Lake waypoint, and you're going to keep going through the campaign up until you get to Oracle's Abode. This will be a little bit later in the campaign, and you'll be around level 35 or so, probably when you get to this. I think the last run I was level 33, so it just kind of varies on how much maps you're clearing and kind of how you're playing the game. But you should be around level 35 when you get to Oracle's Abode. And the reason this is important to note is I've noticed a lot of people are asking about how do you unlock the Temporal Sanctum area. When you very first arrive in Shining Cove, that door is locked and you can't get in. In order to access that area, you do need to continue to the Oracle's Abode, as I said. There will be a side quest in the Oracle's Abode that you can pick up called the Sapphire Tablet. This will have you go back to the Shining Cove, and then you can access that area. And also completing this quest will give you a passive point and idle slot reward. Congratulations, at this point you should have all 3 of the dungeon waypoints unlocked, and you should be around level 35. So the next 10 levels, we're going to head over to the end of time, and we're going to enter the Monolith of Fate. This is the game's in-game system. And each of the little islands in there is actually called a timeline. And the very first timeline we're going to be doing is called Fall the Outcast. This is a level 58 timeline. So once you go in there, every little node in here is actually called an echo or a map that you run. Now, when you're very first starting out, especially if you're level 35 or even before level 35 and you don't have access to your first 3 skill specialization slots, you may struggle. So there's a couple different things you can do here. If you're really struggling in the Monolith of Fate, what you can do is you can leave the map and re-enter, and it'll spawn in new monsters to fight. So maybe it's a monster type that does a certain type of damage that you don't have very much resistance to, or maybe it's just an overpowered monster that's annoying to fight. You can leave and go back in to reset the monsters. Once you do find monsters that you can kill efficiently without dying, I do recommend just clearing that full map. We're not really going for echo completion here or anything like that. Of course, that's great if you can early on, but early on you're going to be kind of hitting your head against a little bit of a wall until you level up and find some really good items in there. But you got to remember, if you can pull it off, you're level 35, killing level 58 monsters. One kill is going to get you like a full bar of XP, which is pretty good. You get a lot of experience points for killing monsters in these timelines early on. I definitely recommend really trying to push through. And if you're on softcore, you know, there's no penalty for dying. So you can just keep bashing your head over the wall over and over, as long as you're killing monsters and getting XP a little bit. But if it does feel like it's too much and it feels impossible, it's okay to go back to the campaign and just continue the campaign for a little bit, at least for another 5 levels, and then just come back and try again. But this is going to be your strategy, is going to be the Monolith of Fate from level 35 to 45. Once you do get to level 45, really shouldn't take you that long if you have a strong build going. You're going to head over to Soulfire Bastion. This is a level 45 key dungeon. Same thing applies. You have to have a key to enter. If you die in there, you lose the key and have to use a new key to start over. Soulfire Bastion has a special mechanic where, as you're going through, you can collect souls that you can use at the Soul Gambler at the end of the dungeon for some really strong items. The other mechanic here as well is you can alternate between fire resistance shield and a necrotic resistance shield. So as you're going through, if you see fire, throw on your fire shield. You see necrotic, throw on your necrotic shield. It's pretty straightforward, pretty fun dungeon. But the point in completing Soulfire Bastion is so that we can get to Kolheim Pass and skip another large chunk of the campaign. Once you get to Kolheim Pass, you're not going to stop there. You're going to keep going off to the east, and you're going to do the mission called Liberating the Nomads. This will give you an idle reward as well. And once you've completed Liberating the Nomads, you do have to turn it in over in Heobora. So it is a little bit of a run, but if you're doing this around level 45, you're going to be getting decent XP gains throughout the process as well. Once you've made it over to Heobora and you've turned in Liberating the Nomads, gotten that idle slot reward, we're going to go ahead and head back into the Monolith of Fate until level 60. Now, throughout this part from 45 to 60, you should be able to complete Fall of the Outcasts if your build is strong enough, and hopefully RNG's on your side and you're getting those loot drops as well. And if not, remember, you can always craft in this game to help get the items you want. And I do have a crafting guide video available for you to check out after you watch this video. So level 45 to 60 is your Monolith of Fate. Once you've hit 60, you're at the very end here, and you're going to go ahead and run the Temporal Sanctum. This is the third key dungeon in the game, and the tier 1 version of this dungeon is level 55. I recommend being level 60 just to make it easier on yourself. Of course, if you're feeling stronger, you can go way sooner than that if you want to. Temporal Sanctum is your dungeon that you use if you want to craft a legendary item with you have to have an exalted item that has 4 affix slots full on it, and a unique item with at least 1 legendary power, and you can do that at the end of the dungeon. But the tricky part that I want to point out in this video here is the Temporal Sanctum final boss is Jorah, and this boss can be challenging early on. Well, I recommend being closer to 60, and if it's too hard, you may need to level up even a little bit more. This boss does have a mechanic where when they spawn in, there'll be a AoE around you pulsing. You can actually run, and I recommend dropping this off outside or on the edge of the arena. So if you're melee, it doesn't drop on top of the boss, and then you're not even able to damage the boss. Otherwise, you're standing in that AoE. She also does this fun laser thing that you have to find the gap in between the laser and stand in there to avoid getting hit. This, on my third rogue that I made, was a melee rogue, and I found this fight to be quite a challenge. However, the first 2 rogues that I did were marksmen, and they really had no issue with this boss fight. Once you've completed Temporal Sanctum, you're going to show up in the Radiant Dunes, which is in the Divine Era. You're going to be running over to Miljeka Upper District. Once you're in Miljeka Upper District, there's going to be 2 side quests that you can grab here. The Desert Treasure, as well as the Ruby Commander, which is a boss that you're going to fight in the lower district, and you're also going to run through the slums. Now, these are going to be your final side quests to get those idle slots and passive rewards as well. But keep in mind, if you continue progressing through the main story here, all the way through the end, starting at that Miljeka Upper District, I mean, it's a short run. If you just complete the campaign from that point, you will still unlock your permanent +1 to all attribute points. So if you follow this guide at each points in these levels, and you picked up where we run in the campaign, if you picked up all the side quests and you completed the ones that gave you idle slots and passive slots as well, all the way through level 60, and you completed the campaign from Meljeka Upper District, again, short run. And if you did all that, congratulations, you'll have all of your bonus attribute points unlocked from completing the campaign. You're going to have all your passive rewards, as well as your idle slot rewards as well from the campaign. This is the most efficient route that I have found using the campaign skip method in Last Epoch. I leveled up and did 3 different test runs of the best campaign skip possible, and this is what I landed on, and this is going to be the route that I use for all of my alts in the future. That's going to wrap it up for this Last Epoch campaign skip guide video. Hopefully you found this video useful and or entertaining. If so, don't forget that like button and subscribe to the channel for more action RPG videos. The best way to support me is through becoming a YouTube channel member today and or leaving a super thanks on the video below. Your view alone means the absolute world. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.